Happy Friday, Falcons. Can you guys believe that this is our very first full week of January at school that we just finished? It's hard to believe it, but yes, we have survived a 5-day school week. And that means it's time for another blast. All right, let's jump right into the learning because we saw some this week. I want to highlight Brandon Simpson's class first. And Brandon Simpson's class, if you remember, in the first semester, they were involved in a unit on Egypt in his social studies class, and they were learning about the mummification process. As part of learning about that process, Brandon had his students implement their learning by mummifying a chicken in every single class. Well, when they got back from our winter break and headed into second semester, it was time to reveal the chickens and uncover them to see if the mummification process did indeed work. And by what we saw in his class and what his students were able to analyze and observe, yes, it did. And so there were some great conversations that happened with students as they were observing how that mummification process was effective and maybe what they could have done differently. So, great way to put students in the leadership position of actually implementing those strategies and taking some observations and then having those important discussions afterwards. Great job, Brandon. Now I want to move into a lesson or really a culminating project by Maria Stout. In Maria's class, she involved her students in collaborating to create dystopian board games. In this process, the students had to creatively incorporate elements from their dystopian fiction books. This required a ton of critical thinking, involved reading comprehension, of course, listening and speaking skills as they were building their games, and then a lot of fun as they got to play the games. The other natural part about this is as students are playing the game, there were opportunities for students to share feedback with one another and to make improvements. So just a fantastic job of being able to bring students together around a common goal to create, to problem solve, and in this case, to invent because they were inventing games. So fantastic job. That takes me back to considering our learning focus here at Rockwood South. And so when we look at that learning focus, I want to remind you that our goals are completely about student-centered instructional strategies. When we think about cooperative learning and we think about assessment-capable learning, both of those things put students at the forefront of the learning. They empower our students. They require students to have conversations, and they engage our students in critical thinking skills. If we really wanted to narrow this down to what is most essential, it is student to student conversation. That is what we want to see happening in our classes. So I really encourage you to continue to take a look at your lessons. And if you are finding that you have direct instruction that is taking up a great deal of time in your class, even more than 10 minutes in your class, without giving students time to talk with one another and to process or to engage in asking questions of one another, I would encourage you to look at how can I incorporate that time, because that is where the real brain work and learning occurs. Great job, guys. Keep up the great work with those student engagement strategies. And now it's time to celebrate. This week, we were able to celebrate our second quarter Discover, Connect, and Make a Difference Award winners. And here they are for you. All right, you can see we had quite a large group of both students and staff who were nominated for these prestigious awards. I absolutely love these awards and this celebration because having students and staff all together really shows that regardless of our ages, regardless of our positions in our school community, we are all striving for the same thing. We're all striving to discover, connect, and make a difference. Those are our values. In a sense, we're striving to demonstrate integrity in our character. We're striving to uplift one another as leaders. And I love that we are all committed to those values. Last but not least, just a few reminders as we head into next week. So first of all, remember on Monday, there's no school in celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Then on Tuesday, this is when we're going to start preparing for our targeted support groups with Academic Lab. Academic Lab is coming. And so please prepare to attend a brief meeting in the library for the first 30 minutes of your plan period to engage in selecting students for targeted support groups. You're going to see more in the Monday memo about that. And then last but not least, on Friday, there are a couple things that awards you can nominate our folks for, and the due date is Friday. One of those is Teacher of the Year, and the other one is the Brockwood Rose Award. So if you haven't been able to take a moment to nominate someone and you want to do that, you have essentially 1 week left to take care of those nomination forms. All right, everyone. I truly appreciate all of your hard work this week. I know it's difficult when you've been off for a while and then you come back to a full week of school, but I did see a lot of excitement from you, a lot of excitement from kids. I know that kids were happy to see you and one another. That was very evident and obvious. I appreciate all the work that you do for our kids. Get some rest this weekend. You truly deserve it. And we'll see you Tuesday. Take care.